Conflict isn't chaos. In fact, it's the fuel for growth. And here's how you embrace it without burning bridges.
And the truth, here's the truth. For us as leaders, the greatest failure of leadership is a lack of courage. A lack of courage to say what needs to be said.
Most teams avoid conflict because it feels uncomfortable. But the truth is, a healthy dose of conflict drives better decisions. Start off by setting the ground rules. Different opinions are welcome, but personal attacks are not. Then use the greatest failure of leadership is a lack of courage. Lack of courage to say what needs to be said. That is from the legendary Keith Cunningham, also known as Rich Dad from the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. Here's something that we don't say enough of. When we think about skeptics, so the red team completely pulled apart the plan that we came up with yesterday. That was a good thing, which was to get 25 skeptics and 30 catalysts. We thought that that was a brilliant idea. We used Dr. Eli Goldratt's ambitious target formula and got the red team. First up, we had to get everyone to agree that the target would be a good thing for the project if we achieved it. It would have been very easy to think we'd come up with a great plan. The skeptics, they're just slowing this down. They don't like change. They're just being difficult for no good reason. We don't have time to deal with all their bullshit right now. How many times? Be honest. I'm going to throw this question up. It's just a yes or no answer. Have you ever dismissed a skeptic as a blocker, only to realise later they were protecting the outcome? Yes or no? Don't go into details, just answer yes or no. All right. Conflict isn't chaos. When we use it right, it is our greatest tool. In fact, one of the 5 dysfunctions of a team, in the book, 5 dysfunctions of a team, is fear of conflict. All right, what we're going to do today is we're going to carry on from yesterday. We're going to get a clear picture. We've said this is no good. The skeptics, we went to the skeptics and said to them, we want to target 25 skeptics and 30 catalysts. Try and get those inside 30 days. And they just completely tore the plan apart. I'm not going to go right back through the plan yesterday, but it's all sitting there in the GPT. If you want access to that, copy it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our mate Mox. Him and I originally created the plan. This is going to give us a much stronger plan in the end too, by the way. And we're going to have a quick chat with Mox, and we're going to give him a thinking time question from Uncle Keith, out of the road less stupid. Okay, Mox, hang on, I better tell him. Okay, Mox, what I'm going to paste below is the latest feedback from the red team. So we still haven't got past the step of, or we have, you've created something, but I want to make sure that we get this 100% right. One of the first steps in the ambitious target session is to get everyone to agree if we're going to achieve this ambitious target, that it will be good for the project. Okay, so I'm going to give you the feedback from the latest feedback from the red team, and we're going to use this thinking time question from the book, The Road Less Stupid. This is it. What are the few specific measurable outcomes I am optimizing for? The clear, measurable target on the wall. Remember that we had, the target was 25 skeptics and 30 catalysts, which the red team absolutely pulled apart. Let's get this very specific now. Address what the red team said and give it to me in a format that I can feed back to them so that they can say that, and you need to ask them this question, is this good for the project or is it not good for the project? Anything in there that doesn't make sense, just give me a quick update on what you plan to do before you run off and do it, please. And transcribe that. If you haven't seen me use AI before, I use AI as what I call a wingman and a strategic thought partner, which I learnt from various different people. One of them being a guy here that runs a Pregen digital hub, Chris Bowden, and the book, The AI Driven Leader. Perfect. This is exactly the right move, exactly the right step of the ambitious target process. You're doing think of time properly. Now, instead of defending the original target, which is precisely what the red team exists to force, we are now answering them with opinions. We're not answering them with clear, measurable project level outcomes. Remove ambiguity. The red team attacked headcount target, ambiguous definition, weak leverage, and a highly measurable. In here, he talks about excessive optimism. We're excessively optimistic with what we come up with, our plans, and how they will work, which is why it's crucial to engage the red team as skeptics to bulletproof our plan. There's a line out of the red team actually come out of the afterburner advantage yesterday. Fighter pilots, when they think they've got a good plan, pull someone in to pull their plan apart at the end of it. Because they, as he says, we have a saying, best let someone shoot holes in your plan before the bad guys shoot holes in the jet. Okay. So the correction must shift from people counts observable, clean, red team response. Red team, agree on your critique. The original targeted skeptics 25 created two structural flaws that optimized for headcount rather than leverage. Active participation was vulnerable to interpretation and gaming. We are redefining an ambitious target using a thinking time constraint question. What are the few specific measurable outcomes we are optimizing for? This target is no longer role, identity, or platform activity. The target is observable cadence, adoption, and behavioural signal inside real work. Cadence signal, minimum of 16 ORCA sessions executed. Sessions must occur on real project issues, not training exercises. Minimum of 4 to 8 core operators participating consistently. Participants must occupy decisions, coordination, workflow shaping roles. Construction manager, superintendent, project engineer, senior engineer, plan to schedule the headcount. Leverage does not need to count. Structural evidence requirement, minimum of 8 sessions recorded in school. Purpose, verifiable execution record. Behavioural validity test, sessions only count if they generate identified constraint cause, explicit correction actions. Attendance without decision impact does not qualify. We're measuring repeatable cadence under execution pressure. Decision-linked behavioural, authority level engagement. We're not measuring post-lights or comments. Critical evaluate. Given this revised target structure, is achieving this outcome good for the project? Does establishing a ORCA cadence across 4 to 8 authority dense operators demonstrated through 16 executable sessions and 8 recorded brief cycles represent a meaningful improvement? If not, identify the structural flaws. There's vanity matrix. Before we move further, here's exactly what I did. Accepted the red team rejection, reframed target around measurable systems behavior, built anti-gaming measurements, anchored school as evidence. When they respond, the answer will tell us where the real constraint sits. Okay, let's copy that. We'll go back to our red team. Red team, can you please give me feedback on this? Right, I'm going to respond to this exactly the way a serious red team operator would. No hype, no alignment, no theatre, no big dog energy. Red team evaluation. This version is materially stronger. You've corrected the original structural weakness. Removed headcount vanity metrics, eliminated identity-based theatre, introduced authority density. Now let's stress test it properly. Is this meaningfully operational state challenge. Yes, if executed exactly as defined. Why? Because you are no longer measuring engagement. You are measuring repeatable, structured debrief under live pressure, authority level involvement, constraint identification, action link adjustment, cadence continuation. This is real behavioural insertion. 6 real ORCA cycles under pressure is not cosmetic. This is friction tested rhythm. Where is the remaining structural risk? Decision quality versus decision existence. Your validity test requires identified constraint, corrective action, observable adjustments. That improves my movement. It does not yet prove quality. The session could produce superficial causes, safe actions, low impact adjustments. That's not fatal in 30 days, but it's a risk. Early cadence equals signal generation, deep constraint work, later maturity. That distinction must be understood internally. Now is the critical variable. You correctly weighted leverage. However, you specified 4 to 8 authority dense operators. This is a narrow window. If those 4 to 8 control work influence daily sequencing shape commitments, then yes, this is leverage insertion. If they're mid-level without real decision control, the cadence may still stall beyond the pilot cell. This is not a flaw in the target, it is a selection risk. Replacement must be real, not nominal. You state ORCA replaces existing debrief. If that replacement is culture recognises this is how we now debrief, then the experiment has structural legitimacy. If it is, we're trialling something alongside, then the system will treat it as optional. Optional processes don't compound. Is 16 sessions in 30 days ambitious? Yes. Under execution pressure, maintaining daily structured reflection for a month is difficult, especially when fires flare, priority shift, weather hits, client pressure escalates. Cadence survival under stress is a test. 16 sessions is not trivial. It requires discipline that is appropriately ambitious. Does this represent meaningful movement? Now answering your explicit question. Does establishing a repeatable ORCA cadence across 4 to 8 authority dense operators demonstrated through 16 executed sessions and 8 recorded debrief cycles represent meaningful operational improvement? Yes. Conditionally, but clearly yes. Why? Because it inserts structured constraint thinking into live workflow, creates a memory record. It reduces a narrative drift. It begins replacing reactive culture with reflective adjustment. It creates repeatability. You're not claiming transformation, you're claiming rhythm insertion. This is strategically legitimate. What this actually represents, this is 30-day target, is not behavior change. It is cadence validation, authority alignment test, legitimacy insertion, early signal detection. If it holds under stress, you have something real. If it collapses under pressure, the environment is not ready or insertion logic is wrong. Either outcome gives data. That is intelligent experimentation. Final red team position. This revised target is structurally sound, it's falsifiable, minimises gaming, focuses on leverage, measures behaviour under pressure, creates decision artefacts. The only remaining variable is authority, gravity inside the pilot cell. If that's right, this is good for the project. If that's wrong, nothing will save it. Proceed. Can I get a little bit more clarity on what you mean by authority gravity inside the pilot cell? Not exactly sure what he's saying there. Sounds like AI nonsense. Good question. This is a variable that will determine whether ORCA becomes infrastructure or stays a side experiment. The degree to which people in the pilot cell control, influence, or shape how work actually moves tomorrow. No job titles, not who talks most. It's about who sets sequence, who commits resources, who resolves conflicts, who absorbs risk, while others wait before acting. If ORCA lie inside that gravity field, it sticks. If it lives outside, it floats. 2 very different pilot cells. Keen engineers, improvement minded. These are your optimistic people, okay? Mid-level coordinators, no one with sequencing authority, no one with labour control, no one who can change commitments. What happens? They run great ORCA sessions, they identify constraints, they generate actions. They go back into a system they don't control. The cadence doesn't spread. it becomes those guys' things. High gravity cell, construction manager, superintendent, planner, scheduler, discipline lead, project engineer who drives RFIs, someone who controls labour sequencing. Someone who approves variation change. Now with ORCA, identifies a constraint, sequence shifts, commitment adjusts, labour allocation change, client comms change, priorities move. That's gravity. The cadence now alters the work. When it alters the work, others notice. When the others notice, adoption becomes rational, not motivation. The test for authority gravity. Ask this brutally simple question. If this group decides something inside ORCA, does tomorrow's plan change? If the answer is yes, immediately you have gravity. Maybe we escalate it, weak gravity. Why this matters in 30 days. You're not trying to change culture, you're trying to prove ORCA works under pressure. That's a huge distinction. If the pilot cells lack gravity, ORCA will produce insight. Insight won't change execution. Execution won't improve. Momentum won't combat. We will feel smart but toothless. If the pilot cell has gravity, ORCA produces insight. Insight changes commitments. Change reduces friction. People experience relief. Relief drives voluntary replication. That is the compounding mechanism. What gravity is not. It's not loud personalities, enthusiastic catalysts, people who love process, senior execs who don't touch daily flow. It's specifically control over workflow commitments and sequencing. The real question for you, if your current pilot program, who controls tomorrow's sequencing? Who controls labour allocation? Who controls commitment reliability? Who can alter client-facing decision? Who absorbs risks if commitments move? Well, at least 2 to 3 of those people are inside ORCA consistently. You have gravity. If not, you have a thinking lab. And thinking labs don't shift construction projects. You want me to tell you the exact roles in the current cell and whether you're in gravity or an orbiting one. All right. That's the value a good red team, a good skeptic brings to the project. We could run off and choose our own adventure, look for skeptics and catalysts and all the nice fluffy stuff. And in 30 days time, 60, 90, 120, everyone goes, what are they guys doing? They haven't done a fucking thing. Nothing's any different. Nothing has changed. Now we've got some hard metrics to drive towards. We've answered Uncle Keith's question. What are a few specific measurable outcomes I'm optimizing for? The clear, measurable target on the wall. It's a very powerful process. ORCA, an ambitious target. That's enough for today. I'm going to do my daily ORCA. I'm actually going back to bed because I'm feeling a bit crook today. Where are we? ORCA wingman. Tomorrow, we're going to shift beliefs, share behind the scenes origin stories, insights. I'm going to share more insights into that. We're going to refine this into something more, something into a one-pager that we could put in front of someone and they go, you son of a bitch, I'm in. Okay, it is Wednesday the 18th, 1/8 of February 2026. It is day 87 of 90 of the ORCA process. We're going to play a little video before we kick into ORCA. This is a new shift. I'll let the man himself write the afterburner advantage. Explain to you exactly why the ORCA process is so powerful. He just put this video up this morning and it was extremely good. Where is these videos? Of course we got no sound. Why will we have? Sound's turned off, funnily enough. Let's go back. Make sure you see all this.
As an organisation, we helped 3 NFL teams win the Super Bowl by teaching them how to use this method by coaching. It's called debrief, and it's only 4 steps. Intention, expectation, or what we call objective. Reality or results, what we call R, result. Curiosity, or what we call cause, the cause of this gap in performance. And A, action, what am I actually going to do about it?
All right. Why have you drifted all of a sudden? You run 3 questions out there at once. You're supposed to step through this process. This is starting to get a little bit unstable now. We're right near the end of the run, and it's time to build a new ORCA wingman. We'll just nurse this one through day 90. This is a home ORCA, ORCA. Be honest. Have you ever dismissed a skeptic as a blocker, only to realise later, or even now, they were actually predicting the outcome? Yes or no? In the comments. Daily live is in progress. No, there was no moment of hesitation where I almost didn't run it. Maybe why this chat's getting slow too, because it's done a lot of work. Verify full kit, targeted revenue driving action, did that, run the day live. 3 out of 3 complete. Time to take this up a notch. We're going to, because Saturday, we hit our target, which was 90 orcas in 90 days. I'm going to pull all the data from the previous ones, and we're going to take this to the next level. Verify full kit, daily outreaches, state one objective. The one objective for the day was a targeted outreach, which I've set up for next week for the meeting. Book the meeting in for next week. Behaviours that made it happen is LinkedIn's just something that I do every day. It's my priority. Getting this live up is my priority, and my targeted outreach, making sure that that happens. That's just automatic now. Decisions that remove friction is the same ones that we've had for a while now, which are actually one of the decisions that has removed friction is this red team process, because we could have gone off and done a lot of work on finding the skeptics and the catalysts that we didn't need. I'm going to use this now. I'm going to actually pull all the data, you and I are, at the end of this. What's happened in the last 90 days. I'm going to pull all the transcripts. You're going to go through and you're going to assess it on Saturday when we're at day 90. Then we're going to plan out the next 90 days and feed that to the red team to see what they say. Going to be interesting to be able to see, because I was exceptionally good at recognising patterns. So when I feed it all the transcripts from these videos, which is the reason why I capture all these videos, so I've got the transcript to be able to see what's moved the needle in the last 90 days and where's the value-added activity been versus the non-value-added activity. Daily live is automatic. LinkedIn activity is daily hygiene. Target outreach is priority driven, not optional. Decision moving friction. Using the red team before execution to prevent wasted effort. Refusing to chase skeptics catalysts without validated leverage. Constraint remove. Avoid unnecessary work on non-leveraged identity targets. Focused on measurable outcomes. ORCA red team wingman. Tomorrow is Thursday, so yes, it's a weekday. Three from three, it's confirmed. No visual reflection loop today. Day 87 complete. Right, we are 3 from the end, 88, 89, 90, and we're done. Take it, use it, don't ignore your skeptics, and we'll speak again tomorrow. You want to know what's more costly than conflict? Avoiding it. When you avoid conflict, you're not just avoiding uncomfortable conversations, you're sacrificing growth, stalling progress, and undermining any form of accountability. The real problem isn't conflict, it's avoiding it. It leads to poor decision making, wasted time, and stagnated growth. Patrick Lencioni calls it fear of conflict. But the truth is, avoiding hard conversations is just another form of the second dysfunction. What tough conversations are you avoiding right now?